Not here. So, as mentioned, today's topic is on securing cloud storage and data, which this is also a very important topic because nowadays it's all about data. So everything you deal with turns eventually you just have to consider how is that data secured, what are the measures to take. So in cloud, and I think as well if you are trying to even do self-hosting service or I mean self-hosting of your services on premises, you consider the same measures that we are going to talk in this to talk of in this session, provided that whatever you're implementing, the technology that you're implementing can support the following measures as well. So let's look at the agenda, and we don't have many, just some five of them. So as part of the agenda, at the end of this topic, you should be able to distinguish key concepts relating to cloud storage and data services, including disk, file, blob, or what you call object storage, table, queues, relation database, NoSQL database, etc. But majorly we'll be looking at we won't look at the database for now. We'll just be looking at the storage services in particularly Microsoft Azure. Then, as part of the agenda, you should be able to evaluate different cloud storage services and data services available from leading cloud vendors. You should be able to analyze risks to these cloud storage and data services. You should also be able to implement cloud storage and data services, including blobs, file storage, SQL, and NoSQL databases. You should be able to secure implemented storage and data services through access control, redundancy, ransomware protection, encryption, key management, and etc. So there's a lot to it when it comes to enabling security. We'll be looking at some few measures in terms of securing cloud storage. As for the rest of the leading cloud vendors, so that's the likes of GCP, AWS, I'll I'll let that task. I'll just leave it to you guys to kind of dig deep to understand what are their services. Although, as you may have noticed, we in these slides we still have some few notes on what AWS and GCP has to offer in terms of their popular cloud storage services. So, but I won't delve into that in class in the session here. So I'll just stick to Microsoft Azure because I want to show you a practical part of it as well. So before we get into cloud, I think it's best to understand how this technology has evolved, and that way it will kind of give you an idea to really see that there's really not much that we get. There's really not much that we can say it's all new, but this has just been a slight evolution. I mean, evolution of what we used to have traditionally. So, you will excuse me if you don't really see me going through the notes as they appear, but I'll just give you a brief understanding of what we're talking about as well. Or I mean, all together. So previously, and even in your personal life, you may have experienced your usage with what we call direct attached storage, or DAS. So that's how this is just form of storage, how storages have been categorized in the past. So DAS is one of them. And DAS, as the name suggests, is a directly attached storage. So you can think of this in the perspective of you having your laptop there. Then the laptop will, in most cases, the laptop. So the laptop will be having its internal disk with it. So this could be a hard disk drive, a solid state drive. So that disk is like you find that there's a dedicated connection between your laptop internally, between your laptop and that storage device is built into your laptop. So there is that dedicated connection, and that's what we call direct attached storage. Another case could be when you're using like external drive connected to your laptop. So that's also another example of what we call direct attached storage. So in definition, this is storage, a DAS or direct attached storage is a storage device that is directly attached to a host device. So I think that's what you just really need to understand about it without getting to much complicated definition of what it's a DAS. So just take that perspective and uh, try to map it in that understanding of what is a DAS. So in terms of the connectivity options that we have when we are connecting to DAS devices, we we can use what we call SCSI or small computer system interfaces. We can use a USB connection, like how you could make connection to an external hard disk drive, for instance. Then we could use a SATA or serial advanced technology attachment. Then there is also eSATA, and we have SAS or serial attached casting. So the key advantage when using DAS, of course, you'll notice that we get high performance from DAS storage, and we have a reduced latency as well. Cause just give me a moment. Let me share a link with this person. Okay. Someone was asking for the link. Okay, so as as I was saying, yes, I wonder why people are asking for the link. Indeed, this was shared before. So as I was saying, the two main advantages when it comes to using a directly attached storage is that you get the almost ultimate performance, and you also get reduced latency. So performance is cause this disk or this storage that you'll be using is kind of directly attached to only a single device. So the storage device will not be facing a lot of if for lack of word, the storage device will not be facing a lot of traffic from other devices trying to access it because it's only a single device that is connected to it. Then reduced latency is because uh, you don't have to hop between other devices to get to that storage device. There's a direct connection, so you don't have to go through maybe what is this, a storage server to get to it. So that's the idea of reduced latency. It's a one-to-one connection. Then, as for the cons, which is just a disadvantage, you find that one thing for sure is you can't use it. You can't use direct attached storage with multiple users, so it becomes hard. So, in case you have a number of laptops that you need them connected to the maybe that storage, then you find that you can't really. It's almost close to impossible to implement. to have maybe an external hard disk drive connecting a single external hard disk drive connected to a number of devices that need to access that storage. So that's a key issue with it. So this how uh, a DAS system may look like. But okay, this looks complicated. But ideally, we just think of your laptop and its internal disk. So that's a quick example that you have at your disposal of a DAS storage. So where to use the data storage is maybe say where you're facing budget constraints because it's cheap to implement such a storage. Yeah, such a storage. Then also a data storage could be suitable for file servers in small and medium-sized businesses and in data centers as private storage connected to dedicated servers. So dedicated servers are just but so say you get a cloud provider and in most cases, like I showed you previously, that layer of infrastructure service, platform as a service, then you get to the storage as a service in terms of ownership. So the cloud provider in most cases will be owning the networking. So the infrastructure parts, that is the networking, the storage, or else virtualization technology that's being used. And actually that virtualization technology is what will be allowing multiple users to make use of the same hardware that is underneath. So if maybe maybe because of compliance reasons with regulations out there, it say that you can't have your hardware because there are some things like say for instance a key vault hardware security model which is used to just manage the customer keys. Such a thing could call for a dedicated hardware service. You can't share that hardware with anyone else. So in such a case, you may need to have your dedicated storage service, your dedicated hardware service as well. So that's where you get the idea of dedicated servers. It's only you using that hardware on the cloud provider's end. So you make an agreement, of course, on that. But ideally, it would be expensive as well because the main idea behind cloud. Okay, part of the main idea behind cloud is to allow that multiple tenancy whereby you'll be sharing the underlying resources like hardware, uh, uh, storage, and all that. So if you go for a dedicated server, then you have to pay kind of expensive for such a service. Then we have another form of storage, which is NAS or network attached storage. So in this case now, what changes is you have a dedicated or what you may call server, dedicated storage server, and within this it's actually a hardware. Within this hardware, you'll get that it comes with the in most cases it comes with the with slots. So let me just show you how it looks like. So this how it looks like on the left, this one right here. So you get a hardware like this, then there'll be slots whereby you can just insert your disk drives into it. Does someone have something to say about? So you have to purchase a NAS storage hardware. Kind of looks like this one. They need to be having some slots. This one has a few, like I think this is about 4 of them. So in those slots, you can just open it like how you used to open the y- how you used to open those old DVDs and insert the compact discs inside. So you can do the same here, more or less the same thing. Insert your disk drives inside. Then these disk drives will maybe uh may all be I'm looking for the word here. Okay, you'll use these drives to create what we call a pool. Then this pool will be a virtual pool of a virtual storage pool, such that it will be an accumulated storage space out of all these storage. Maybe you've inserted a 1 TB disk drives. So every disk drive that you've inserted in this hardware is 1 TB. So if you have inserted 4 disk drives of 1 TB, then you may find yourself that you get a total storage of 4 TB. So that would be a storage pool with the size of 4 TB or 4 TB. So you can now access or make it your storage, and it will just appear like a single disk that you're using, not multiple disks, but a single disk. So that's the thing with NAS storage. So it is actually also a file level data storage. And by saying it's a file level data storage, you can use protocols such as server message block, or if you're using Windows environment, or NFS network file system, if you're using or is this Unix environment like Linux, Ubuntu. So in terms of its advantages, you find that you can use it now with multiple users. So if you have a number of devices that need to make a connection, simultaneous connection to the same storage service, you can implement a NAS storage. Then it's also scalable. So in case maybe one of your disks is running out, actually, in case you find that your storage pool is running out of space, then you can easily uh, remove one of the storage disk and plug in another one that is empty, so that that new disk that you swipe in will now have some storage space to utilize. Then it also supports easy backup and restoration of your data, because you can implement technologies such as RAID to just be backing up your data to even other storage services, maybe in cloud. Then, as for the disadvantages when it comes to NAS storage, you find that it's mainly the key advantage is that its performance is dependent on the network, because this is how it will be set up. So I'll be talking with reference to the picture on my right hand side. So this network attached storage. So you see a network here. There's a NAS storage of the right hand side to the far right hand side. Then this NAS storage is connected to an Ethernet switch. Then we have some servers here, and we have some endpoint devices, which is just workstations seated on the upper side of the picture. So the workstations in the server, they do it's probable that how the network has been implemented is such that the servers and the workstations will be making use of this NAS storage as their storage. So uh, you can see that they all need a network. Yes, in this case, they need an Ethernet connection to get to the NAS storage. But ideally, there's that network connection to the storage service. In this case, when you're implementing a NAS storage. So the key disadvantage with NAS storage is that in case maybe you've implemented your network setup has been set up to use low speed Ethernet cables, or just some low speed network connectivity. Maybe the cable, or even the Ethernet itself. The Ethernet switch itself cannot support high speed of uh, high speeds of data to be transmitted. So that bandwidth is limited. The speed itself is also limited. So that could be kind of like a limitation for you to really make use full utilization of a NAS service. So yeah, that's a key. That's the main disadvantage when it comes to a NAS storage. And another thing is that it can be configured for high availability due to the likelihood of a single point of failure. So, like in this case, if you did such an implementation of your network when you're using an NAS storage, you'll find that if this cable right here, if this connection fails, then it means that your workstations on this side and the server on this side over here, then they won't be having access to any storage because of this single point of failure. So that's the idea over here. Of course, there are some other disadvantages that affect NAS storage and also DAS storage. You just have to, you may have to look into that at your free time. Is there any question up to that point? Okay, so when to use a NAS storage, you can use a NAS storage, say, in departmental servers. So, for instance, maybe you just have maybe like say your department, your finance department that you needed to be sharing files amongst itself. So amongst the staff members that are working within that department and not let these files to be accessed by other people seated in other departments. So you can do such a thing because they'll be having that central repository where they can all keep files and access them as a department. Then you can as well implement this in home networks. So this could go for employees working from home who want to consolidate their business files and media on a secure device that can be centrally managed. So, and actually, this is something that um, guys in YouTube do because they make a lot of videos, and once you start doing that, these videos really take up spaces, and you can't rely on a data storage. So you'll have to implement something close to that, which is NAS storage. Then you can use it when it comes to remote access. This could go for businesses or remote branches and home offices who need to access the same set of data from multiple locations at once using protocols such as CIFS or CIFS is just a deviation of how do I put it? It's like a version of SMB. Then you can use FTP protocol as well, NFS, AFP over TCP/IP, SFTP, and SCP as well. Then we have SAN storage. So SAN storage is, without going to definitions, SAN storage really tries to what the implementation between a sans I mean behind the sans storage is that it just brings combines the advantages that are there in a DAS storage and NAS storage. So you can see that in a DAS storage you have there's that direct storage, there's that improved performance, and what else is there? There's no I mean there is low latency. Then in a NAS storage, it mainly allows for concurrent users to access the storage. So combining all that, you get the functionalities of a SAN storage. And actually, in a SAN storage, let me just show you in terms of a picture. Mm, is it? Do you have a picture for it? Yeah. So uh, so on the okay. On the left-hand side over here, what you see is a NAS storage. So a NAS storage, you'll be having the storage over here. Then this storage is connected uh, to the network using maybe an Ethernet cable, and all these servers can access that storage through the network connection. Then in SAN storage, the implementation is that you'll be having a dedicated a dedicated network of your storage services. So like in this case, these are the storage volumes. Then this storage services connect to now a switch. In this case, this SAN switch. So there'll be connection that switch over there, and everything else that need to make connection to the storage services will have to go through this switch. So there's that dedicated network and dedicated storage service in a SAN setup. And because of such a thing, you can see that there will be kind of like because you'll be having like a dedicated connection to this through the switch. You'll be having a dedicated connection to these storage services, and there'll be a lot of them, and this will be really high performance storage services, not cheap ones. So there'll be, of course, there'll be improved performance. There'll be also you'll have to use network connectivity that will just make sure that there is low latency when it comes to accessing the storage services, and yeah, such a thing. So with the sun storage, of course, there's a high performance. Then it as well provides what you call block level storage access to host devices, and eliminates the traditional dedicated connection between a server and a storage. So in terms of the connection options that we can implement, we can use in this case, we'll just be thinking of implementing high-speed connection. So something like fiber channel over Ethernet, IP-based CASI can be used in terms of these are the connection types that can be used when you're connecting to our SAN storage. As for the major disadvantage when it comes to a SAN storage is we have two. So one is implementation complexity, because it really needs you to know what you're doing. Otherwise, implementing it will just is kind of sophisticated. Then the setting up the storage service in SAN storage is just expensive. Buying all those storage services, switches, and as for the connection options that we have, working with I mean, if you are to go for something like fiber cables, you can see that fiber cables are expensive compared to something like Ethernet, the ordinary Ethernet cables. When to use a SAN storage, so we could use it in database servers. So in this case, these could be database servers for online transaction processing or online analytical processes. I mean, online analytical processing, and other database applications that require high performance block level input output throughput. Then there's also transaction. You could implement it for transaction processing systems. That is systems that require large amounts of throughput, such as credit card processing or telecommunications. Then it's what's implemented when it comes to virtualization hosts. So whenever, like, say, I could try to picture this in cloud, because in cloud you have that everyone is trying to spin up a virtual machine at one I mean, from time to time, and these virtual machines that you're spinning up or deploying, they are not really dedicated machines seated somewhere, but they are machines that come about because of virtualization. So such a place is a good place to have SAN implementation. Then we could also use SAN storage for enterprise applications, and this is just storage area networks. Storage area networks are commonly used to consolidate enterprise applications onto a shared platform that can be centrally managed and or to facilitate disaster recovery. So, just in short, if we're thinking to go to have performance and improve performance and high availability to your storage services, then you could consider using a SAN storage. If you're not really for that budget, then you can go for a NAS storage because that's cheaper. This is just a comparison between the two, between NAS and SAN, because sometimes there's that misunderstanding between the two. I'll leave this on the slide for you to go through it. So before we get to the cloud, let's just have a brief discussion on the data types that are there. Of course, there are three, but I only listed two. So we have structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. So as for structured data, these are highly specific and they are highly specific data that is stored in what we call a predefined format. So that is in terms of actually they'll be stored in what we call tabular storage, or just tables, and these tables will be having rows and columns. So for example of structured data, we have numbers, dates, strings, and as for unstructured data, these are now just a compilation of many varied types of data that are stored in their native formats. So there's that difference. For structured data, you store them in predefined format in what we call schemas. And schemas are just database in which whatever data are being collected, so provided it's structured data, will be stored inside. So yeah, there's structured data, we have to have that predefined format to store them in. Then as for unstructured data, we just store them in their native formats. So for instance, something like when you capture an image or capture a video, how it will be stored is that it will just be stored in its native format as the way it is. Then another thing about structured data is that when you're working with structured data, you'll be implementing, is this structured data really? There you go. Okay. So structured data, they do take advantage of what we call schema on write, and this is just defined, these are just illustrations whereby you create schemas, and you can designate that for this column, you'll be storing the names. For this column, you'll be storing something else. So everything that you saw in that schema on write, for every data that you store in that schema on write table, there will be that predefined format. So you can't get a place where you're supposed to input name and you're inputting a date in that column or in that entry. That won't happen. But then for the schema on read, this is whereby uh, you create these databases when you're extracting your data from them. So there's that difference. Schema on write is that you have the database created before you write into it, but then schema on read, you create the database when now you're extracting data from the database itself. Then we have relational versus relation database. So as for relation database, or what we call relational database management systems, these are just designed to store structured data. And uh, as for non-relation databases, they are kind of designed to uh, they okay these are now just designed to store non-relational data. Non-relational data. So they'll be making use of NoSQL database, and as for relation database, will be uh, they're also termed as SQL databases. So relationship is whereby you just find there's that implementation that the tables are created in such a way that when you go to a given table, you can find maybe there's an ID column. So that ID column can be used to map whatever entry that is on that table. That ID column can be used to map to another table, and you get that there is a relationship between the two entries. Maybe there's a table that was just being used to collect the name of a student, their age, and maybe the ID. Then you go to a different table, you get that the table also has an ID column, and now for this table, it will now be collecting the class of the student when the student was admitted. So you can make use of this ID column to look at one table whereby you'll see that there's a student ID of a given number. Use that student ID to check the other table to get more information about the student. Then we have different three main forms of data storage. We have file storage, which is also called file level or file-based storage, and we have block storage and object storage. So for file storage, this is just a hierarchical storage methodologies to organize and store data. So ideally, you'll be having the files themselves. This is the data that you're storing. So on top, these files can then be organized into what we call folders. Then the folders can be organized or can be accessed in terms of what you call directories. So at the top you have directory, then folders, then the files themselves. Then as for block storage, or what you call block level storage. Uh, in terms of block storage, you kind of not store everything as a whole. You don't store things as a whole. So if ideally behind the scenes, whatever you'll be storing will be broken down to different blocks. Then these blocks will get what you call unique identifiers. Such that whenever you need maybe to modify uh, the data that was stored, then those unique identifiers is what will be is what you'll be working with behind the scenes. So you don't really whenever you'll be modifying something, you won't really be modifying the entire the entire maybe the entire file that you saw, but just some portion of it. An analogy to understand the difference between a file storage, a block storage, and an object storage is whereby maybe think of it like you're having your toys. So so yeah, you have your toys, then you want to consider keeping these toys. You're just considering how to keep these toys. So in terms of file storage, how you keep the toys is that you have maybe you have a box there, then all your toys will go into this single container that are not really a container, but maybe the box that you, and the box in this case will be called a folder. So all your toys, which will be like files, will go into that single box. Then in terms of block storage, so you'll be having in this case you won't have a folder, but you'll have a container. Then all your toys, if you're to store your toys, actually you have two containers, a number of containers. Then you have your toys. So what you now do with your toys in this case is that you won't store uh your complete toys into these containers, but what you'll do is you kind of break down your toys. So maybe these are your Legos. So you have maybe red colored Legos, you have green colored Legos. You may choose that all your red colored Legos go into this first container. Then all your green colored Legos go into this other container. So that's how you'll be storing your toys in terms of block storage. Then as for the object storage, what will happen is you'll you have your box where you want to store want to store your toys, and now everything will go into this single box once again, just like in fast storage. But the key difference is that for everything that you throw inside you throw inside this box, you'll be attaching some some kind of name tags to your toys. So maybe if you have a car, you'll just name it. You'll attach a name tag to that car, saying labeling it that this is my car. Such a thing is what will be happening in an object storage. And for this case, you find that objects are used to store large amounts of unstructured data. So unstructured data, remember things like videos, images, something that you really can't store in that tabular format for ease of because if you are using that tabular format, it will be easy to make records of it, because every column has those attributes that you can use to just get good information out of the tables. So let's look at cloud storage. Yeah. So as for cloud storage, as I mentioned, we'll be just looking at Azure storage services. So Azure storage, we have Blobs. The main storage services that we have under Azure are Blobs. Then we have queues. Uh, then we have tables. We have data lakes, and what am I missing? There's something else. Yeah, we'll look into all that shortly. So let's start with the Azure Blobs. And Azure Blobs is a massively scalable object store for text and binary data. So it allows us to store unstructured data inside them. And they also offer what you call immutable storage, and this is just whereby you write once and read many times. So immutable is plain English is just means unchanged. So in translation to Azure Blob Storage, immutable storage is whereby you can just write your data into the Azure Blob once, and it will be there for the longest time possible. Then there is also idea of versioning with Azure Blobs. You'll see that when you're implementing Azure Blobs, because of this immutable storage. Because if you don't want to change, if you don't want to modify, because it's implementing that immutable storage, it's not really allowed to change the original data that was there. So when you do modifications, a new version of that data a new version of that data that was there originally will now be created, and that's the idea behind versioning. So Microsoft optimized blob storage for what you call data lakes. We'll be looking at what data lakes are shortly. But blobs can as well handle small workloads. Uh, as for Azure Blob Storage, uh, okay, what I can say about Azure Blob Storage at this point is that they are expensive, and their expense really come from different factors. So we have factors like the tier that you are using or implementing your storage with. We have things like reservation capacity, um, Azure region that you're implementing your storage from, redundancy type. I'll show you that. I'll show you that on the portal when we try to set up a storage account. But just get you that this is the object storage when it comes to Microsoft Azure Cloud. The components of an Azure Blob, you'll be having the storage. You'll need to set up a storage account first. So in this case, you have a storage account that's called SuperClouds. Then underneath that storage account, you'll set up containers. So containers, you can have a number of containers. So like in this case, you have public, private cloud, public container, private container, but these containers cannot be nested. So nested just means that inside this public, for instance, if you create a public container, you can't have another container within this public container. So that is not allowed. Every container will just be kind of independent of each other. So you just have them separately, public and private containers separately. They're not nested. Then within these containers now you can store your blobs or just the files themselves that you're trying to store. How to access blobs, blob storage if you are in terms of URL is that you you'll be making use of this there's this suffix over here blob.co windows.net. So whatever blob storage whatever blob storage that you have in Microsoft Azure, they'll be having unique FQDN or fully qualified domain names. And how that really works is that to access it, you'll type in something like https:// then your storage account name. So like in this case, our storage account name is SuperClouds. So it will be https :/ then SuperClouds blob.co.windows.net / then the container name, which you could choose. In our case here, we could choose either public or private as our container name / the file that you're trying to access finally as the suffix on this file n. I'll show you. I'll try to show you that. Then Azure files are just like how you can think of Azure files in cloud is it's really kind of like your NAS deployment on premises or in that on premises environment. So you'll be having that file level storage, but now in cloud. Then uh, you can use protocols like SMB, NFS, and even the REST API. Okay, REST API is just like making use of the web protocols to access your Nini or your file storage. I forgot to mention for blobs. For blob storage, they make use of you'll be making use of REST APIs to access them. That's the common way to access blob storage. So you won't be having SMB and NFS like you see in Azure files. Azure files can be used to store unstructured data, and a key advantage with Azure files is that they can be extended to your on-premises environment. So ideally, that implementation of a NAS deployment whereby you may be having a NAS storage seated somewhere. Maybe your organization has a data center sitting somewhere, and within that data center you have a NAS storage service. So that NAS storage service, how it will look like on your desktop or whatever device or whatever machine that you're using, I mean workstation that you're using to access the storage service, it will just look like any other local storage on your computer. So That's why you can see that you can extend your Azure file storage to on-premises, and also it can be supported in cloud as well. As for the use cases, you can use Azure file storage when you're considering to do a lift and shift of your applications to cloud. And lift and shift is just nothing but rehosting your services. So whatever you're having on premises, you can when you talk of lift and shift, is you'll be rehosting that service now in cloud. So you kind of just copy and paste it in cloud. But of course, there'll be a lot that will need to be done for you to make sure that the same thing is running in cloud. Another use case is when you want to replace or supplement on-premises file servers, like uh, uh, for instance, your NAS storage. So you approach Microsoft Azure first. Microsoft Azure is your cloud provider. Then you set up your file storage in cloud, and you can extend this file storage to be used even on premises. Then finally, as for the use cases, is when another implementation is when you want to store development and debugging tools that need to be accessed from many virtual machines. So this is just the same idea with NAS deployment, where you have a central storage, and now people can access this central storage maybe remotely, or even okay, in this case it will be remotely, because it will be seated somewhere in cloud and you don't know where it is. So you just be using for instance the REST API to access this this file service. So as for the components in a file storage in Microsoft Azure, it's more or less what we have in a blob service. The only key difference is in places of containers. So you start by setting up an account. You'll set up a storage account. Then in place of containers, you'll be having file shares. So you can create your file share there. Then underneath these file shares, you can have your directories there. So and finally, within the directories themselves, you can store whatever objects or files that you're thinking of storing. I think this will be more conceptual. More conceptual when we implement this storage service. Then we have Azure Disk, and Azure Disk are now what comes with the virtual machine disk themselves. So when you spin up a virtual machine, this virtual machine will need to have an operating system running in it. So where this operating system will be stored is actually within that Azure Disk itself. And yeah, and actually what you need to know about Azure Disk is that they are managed services. So they just kind of offer to the user, and you don't really have to uh, the- you don't really have to care do much about them. So it will provide you with what you call a persistent storage, uh, such that such that you can write to that persistent storage is whereby you can write to that storage once, and even if say you shut down the machine, in our case virtual machine instance, if you shut it down and come back later on to power it on, then whatever you had saved in that within that virtual machine, because it will be using an Azure disk, you'll still be able to access it, so it won't be lost. Then it as well offers high performance, durable block storage for mission and business critical applications. And Of course, it comes in different sizes and performance levels. So, for instance, you can get solid state drives, you can get hard disk drives, and there are also different versions of these solid state drives. Then we have Azure Keys, and Azure Keys is just a storage service that is used to store what you call queue messages between decoupled applications. So for instance, if you have an application right here and another application on the seated on another end. So if something happens on this, you can use Azure Queues to collect data from maybe say you have application A over here, then application B. So you can use Azure Queues to store queue messages from maybe application A, such that um, maybe there was something that triggered that was there was an event that happened in application A. So that event will be recorded in Azure Queues. Then Azure Queue and hold that message for a short while before that message is transmitted maybe to application B, which is which is in relation to application B. Application A. So the relationship will be kind of like maybe application B is dependent on application A, such whereby whenever something happens in application A, then application B needs to do something. Think of it like say maybe when you're using the ATM services. So you could be having your ATM there, and when you need to maybe request your balance or just withdraw some cash out of it, that ATM application may need to consult with another application to maybe see what your balance is and uh, give you that go ahead to withdraw your whatever cash that you wish to withdraw. So as for the use cases in Azure Queues is you can implement Azure Queues where you want to decouple application components and use asynchronous messaging to communicate between them. So asynchronous messaging is a kind of messaging service whereby you really don't have to have that uh, direct connection, dedicated connection uh, between two applications that are trying to communicate. So any of your application is open to initiate that communication. So one of asynchronous messaging is where examples is whereby you have your messaging services. So you you yourself can go into your phone and send someone a message, then they will get it on their side. Then the other person can as well just initiate a message from that side, and that message will be dropped into your inbox. Uh, then we have Azure Tables, and as for Azure Tables, they allow you to store structured NoSQL data in the cloud. So in terms of the components that are there in an Azure table storage, you'll as well set up a storage account. So like in this case, this Sally is the storage account name. Then in place of what we previously had as containers, file shares, and directories, when it comes to tables, we have what you call tables, just tables. Then and within the tables you can store what we call entities, and these entities will be in the form of key attribute pairs. So for instance, your key in this case will be name. So that name will have an attribute. So you can give it a name, for instance, maybe Brian, or whatever. If you're storing student records, whatever student name that you'll be having in that case. So that should be a key attribute pair. Name is the key, email is the key. Then you have, yeah, and then you have an attribute. So that will make the pair. Then you also have another entity. So entity maybe in this case could be the students still. So name of the student, email of the student. Then another entity, photo ID. Then an attribute attached to it. Then the date, a date key. I mean, data as your key and an attribute attached to it. Uh, as for Microsoft Azure Data Lake, a data lake is just a centralized repository that ingests and stores data, large volumes of data from uh, from different sources in their original form. So you can think of this storing all those unstructured, semi-structured, and structured data as they come in. So if you, for instance, we have cloud and IoT data movement. So all those logs or all that data will be collected and stored into the data lake. Then you can later on extract this data from the data lake and use it maybe for analytic purposes. Yeah. So that is the idea behind a data lake. It's just a centralized repository that really allows you to store very large amounts of data volumes. And it's actually different from traditional data warehouse, because the traditional data warehouse, what used to happen with them is that you could you first needed to make schemas for these data, and these schemas will kind of define how the data was to be stored. So, for instance, like I was saying earlier, you could have the a name column. We could be having a data column, and everything needed to be stored in consideration to that schema that you're having. But in terms of a data lake, everything is stored in their native form. If you are collecting files, things like images and videos, you can as well store structured data and semi-structured data. So before I just show you a demonstration, let's look at storage security when it comes to Microsoft Azure. And there's okay, not really a lot, but we have four key ways to ensure that to ensure that your storage services are protected or secured in Microsoft Azure at least. And this mainly goes for Blob and file storage in Microsoft Azure, but you can implement it for other storage services that support these features. So you can just mainly think of these security measures with reference to blob service and file service storages. So the first measure that you should be thinking of doing or implementing is encryption at rest. And the encryption at rest is whereby you want to encrypt your data while it is in that while it is within that storage itself. So for instance, a blob storage or a file storage. And to do this, to encrypt your data trace, what the feature that you'll be using in Microsoft Azure is storage service encryption, or what we hear as SSE. And another name for this is storage level encryption, or SLE. So the good thing with this encryption is that it's enabled by default, and it's always there, automatic. So whenever you register for a storage account, this service will be enabled by default, and you can disable it. Then, other than the storage service encryption that is enabled by default, another encryption level that you could implement is what we call infrastructure encryption. And for this, you'll need to register for it, and also you'll need to enable it when you're setting up the storage service. If you fail to enable it when you're setting up your storage account, then you can't enable it afterward. In terms of the key difference between storage service encryption and infrastructure encryption is that storage service encryption will allow you to will allow what you call customer managed keys. So whenever this encryption is being done, there is that encryption keys that are used to make sure that your data is secured. So normally, defaultly, when you're using storage service encryption, Microsoft will do the management of those keys for you. So if you're not comfortable with that, or maybe because of compliance reasons, whereby there are regulations that need you to be in charge of those keys, or need you to be need the customer or the organization to be the one in charge of those keys and not Microsoft itself, then you can go for customer managed keys, and that is only available when you're using storage service encryption. But when you're using infrastructure encryption, then Microsoft will do the key management for you. There's no option for you to use there's no option for customer managed keys to be used in that case. Uh, how you can as well try to differentiate between the two, infrastructure encryption and storage service encryption, is infrastructure encryption is kind of like at the disk level. Then storage service encryption, this is an encryption on the service level. So whatever service that you'll be using, whatever storage service that you'll be using, maybe it's blob service, blob storage service, or file storage service, that this storage service encryption will be at that level. So it will encrypt your data at that level. Then another encryption approach that you could take to just make sure that your data is encrypted at rest is you could set up what you call encryption scopes, and this is only supported for blob storage. So encryption scopes could come in handy whereby you have say you have you're storing data from different customers within the same storage account. So as I showed you earlier, to use these storage services, you set up a storage account. Then under those within those storage account, you can go you can go for maybe your blob service, whereby you'll be having containers, and then the blobs themselves, which are just nothing but the files that you're storing. So these encryption scopes they work with blob services, and not anything else. They can only be implemented when you're using blob storage services. So uh, in terms of pictorial view, this is how it looks like. So you'll be having the manage disk underneath, and this really where your data will kind of be stored. Then yeah, you kind of make the encryption scope will kind of make a boundary between the customers that you're trying to protect their data. So for instance, you have the first customer having 3 files, then the second customer having 4 files. So that encryption scope, you just decide what files, not really files, but what blobs do you want to encrypt for a given customer. Or if not the blobs, you can decide at a container level what containers to encrypt for a given customer. Then the second thing that you can do is encrypt your data in transit. In transit. So we have encryption at transit, and encryption at rest, and encryption in transit. So encryption in transit is whereby now the data is coming from your storage service that you've implemented, and it's being moved elsewhere. So this could be within the Microsoft platform itself, which is just their network. And for that, what Microsoft implements is what we call data link layer encryption. So this encryption method will actually be making use of what you may have heard before as max security, or in full is IEEE 802.1 AE max security. So if you hear of max security, that's an encryption technology that's implemented at data link layer, and is the same same encryption that Microsoft uses uh, to protect their consumer data when it's being moved within the Microsoft network itself. So uh, yeah, that's within Microsoft. But then when it comes to this data being moved, the consumer data being moved outside of Microsoft network, because now outside of Microsoft network, Microsoft does not have control of the internet, the entire internet. So if your data gets out to the internet, how can you protect it? So for that, Microsoft Azure will recommends that we implement what we call transport level encryption. And for this, you need to enable an option in the in the Azure portal, and that option is actually called secure transfer required. I'll show it to you. This is the option that you need to enable to ensure that your data is always encrypted when it's being moved from Microsoft network to other networks. So if once you enable this transport level encryption, it will only allow connection. For blob storage, it will only allow HTTPS connection. Remember, HTTPS is the secured version of HTTP. So if you don't if you don't set up this transport level encryption, then you can find yourself using HTTP. But once you've enabled this transport level encryption, your blob storage service will only allow HTTPS connection. And as for your file storage services, they will only allow secure connections from things like from protocols such as SMB, NFS, SMB and NFS as well. So any insecure connection from those protocols will be dropped, not allowed. Another third thing that you can do when it comes to encryption in transit is set up your storage service to require a minimum TLS version, which will be which you can set it up to be TLS 1.2, because TLS 1.1 and TLS 1.1 is insecure, is kind of insecure because of the vulnerabilities that come with it. So you can just set up the minimum required TLS version as 1.2, and that will help you to secure your data in transit as well. So there are those three options. The first one, data link layer encryption, is enabled by default. You don't have to do anything about it. So you as the customer, as a consumer or the customer, you won't do anything about it. It's Microsoft that handles that. You can only set up transport level encryption and set your storage services to require minimum TLS version, and the recommended minimum TLS version is 1.2. Uh, then, as for the third step that you should consider doing to secure storage services, is to manage access to these storage services. So this is in terms of this is with regard to the authentication and authorization to these storage services. So normally you need to connect to these storage services first to see what's inside them, maybe just to also upload your files into them and whatever data that you want to store in there. So you need to make sure that the clients that are trying to access these storage services are authenticated, and as much as they are authenticated, you need to also look at their authorization levels. So are they just allowed to list files? Are they allowed to read files? Are they allowed to write files onto those storage services and so much more? So that's the idea behind authentication and authorization. And there are two key ways to do this to manage access to the storage services. That is with regard to Microsoft Azure Blob and file storage services. So the first way to do this to manage authorization is through key-based authorization options. Uh, right here is the point I'm at. So we have key-based authorization options, and in terms of key-based authorization options, you can consider using the storage account key, or what we call shared access signatures or SAS. And the second option that you can use to manage authorization into these storage services is what we call identity-based authorization. So identity in Microsoft Azure, and that's actually what you'll be learning in the later session this evening. Identity, when you hear of identity in Microsoft Azure, just think of three things. We have user identity. Uh, we have user identity. We have uh sorry, the word is escaping me. So we have user identity, we have okay, we have users, we have service principals, and we have there's this third word that is escaping me. But users are just like you, the ordinary human beings. Then service principals, this is now identities for this is how Microsoft Azure platform identifies things like applications, non-interactive users like applications, because these are not things that you will prompt them to input their username and password, and they'll do that. No, they won't do that. Let me just I don't know why it's escaping me. Let me look for it. Sorry. And yeah, so yeah. Okay. As I look for something, just if you have a question, please feel free to ask. Yeah, so in terms of identity, you can what you need to know is that we have users, we have groups, we have service principals, and we also have what you call managed identities. So users are, like I said earlier, are just like you and me. So these are human beings now that have that they can be prompted to input their username and password, and they'll do that. But then we have what you call non-interactive users or identities, and these are now, so for instance, things like applications that may need access to your storage, to the storage services. So these applications cannot be prompted to input a username and password, and they get to do that. No, they won't do that. So how they get authorized or authenticated is through is through the service principals, and we also have managed identities, and managed identities is whereby uh, Microsoft Azure provides a way to manage these things like applications for you. So you won't worry about them, about you managing them. So for instance, like when we looked at Azure Kubernetes services, Azure Kubernetes Service used to have what we call managed pod identities, and this is just a way that uh, Microsoft Azure could manage these pods such that if they needed to be authenticated to access a given service, then those managed that management can do that job for us. So you won't have to worry about authenticating something like a pod. But that's what you'll be looking at in the evening. I won't go into that. Just understand that we have two major ways of managing access to storage services. We have key-based authorization options, and we have identity-based authorization option. And as for identity-based authorization options, we have two approaches to take or to choose from. So we have Azure Active Directory and on-premises Active Directory. We'll be looking at that shortly. So let me just go through these options that we have for key-based authorization. So as for key-based authorization options, when you are thinking of implementing key-based authorization options, these are the things that you need to consider. One, you need to protect access to the storage account keys. So when you set up a storage account, it will come with what you call the storage account keys, and this keys can actually be used to access the storage services. I hope you'll have time. I'll show you that. So this case, if anyone gets hold of these keys, then they will have full access to your storage services. They can upload files, they can create files, they can do everything because of this keys. So they'll ideally they'll have unlimited access to it. So yeah, so that's the idea with storage account keys, and it's actually not recommended to use them. Um, they the next mission that you need to look at when you're using the key-based approach in terms of authorizing access to these storage services, you need to grant limited access to storage resources using what we call shared access signatures or SAS. So SAS can be used to generate what we call SAS tokens, and with these SAS tokens, uh, you can actually set things like the allowed IP address to use this SAS token. You can set the time duration that this SAS token is allowed to be used. So maybe just set it to be used for the next 3 hours or so, and not give that perpetual usage of the SAS token. There's a lot of configuration that you can just make on the SAS keys to make sure that you are providing a limited access to your storage services, unlike what's there when you're using the storage account keys. Because when you use storage account keys, you'll be having perpetual access to the storage to the storage services until that storage account key is regenerated again. Another implementation that you should do when you are using the key-based authorization is you need to implement storage account key management with Key Vault. So these keys need to be rotated from time to time because you never know if there has been that breach of security in your cloud environment. So it's just good to rotate these keys, and doing that manually it may be tedious for you as the administrator. Sometimes you may even forget to rotate these keys, and they need to be rotated in regular intervals. So to do that, you can let Azure Key Vault manage that job for you. So it will just be rotating the keys for you from time to time. Then yeah, so that is another implementation that you need to consider. Um, and as a good measure when it comes to when it comes to access management, it's actually recommended to disable the usage of key-based authorization option because, like I said earlier, well, if someone was to get a hold of your storage account keys or even the SaaS tokens, then that could be a problem because there is no way it will be hard when it comes to maybe auditing. When you're auditing your logs, it will be hard to identify who was using your storage account keys or maybe the SaaS tokens because they don't really identify your users. Once you've issued the SaaS token or maybe you've issued your account key to someone so that they can make access to your storage services, there's no way to tell that this is the user who was using your keys or the SaaS token. It will just appear as you just see that there was someone using someone made access to your storage service, but there's no way to identify that person. And that's why it's advisable to disable the key-based authorization option. Then another thing that you can do is to disable anonymous or what you call unauthenticated blob access. And this actually goes for blob access only, blob storages only, because that's the only storage service that supports anonymous access. So anonymous access is just whereby you don't have to authenticate someone for them to have access to your storage services. You'll be the one to configure your storage service in such a way that it can be accessed by anyone outside there, and these people will not have to be authenticated. So long you have the link to maybe your container, to that container or to that blob that is being hosted somewhere in Microsoft Azure, then you can access it. But it also provides you with the only read access, I think. Yeah, it provides only read access to the storage service, so you can't write to it, but you can be able to list as yeah, this may not really look like a problem, but if someone can list that these are the files in your storage service, then that may be enticing for that person to start looking at ways that they can just uh, uh, get to attack that storage service and later on have access, deep access into that storage service. And of course, they'll be looking for right privileges in that storage access. I mean, storage service. So they go for option that really is recommended is identity-based authorization option. And in identity-based authorization, what you'll be using is either Azure Active Directory, or currently it's not really called Azure Active Directory, but Microsoft Entra ID, or you could go for on-premises Active Directory. So if for in terms of Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Entra ID, you'll just uh, you'll just create users on the platform, that is Microsoft Portal, and these users, you just give them access, what you call RBAC access or role-based access control. You use RBAC to manage the access to these storage services. So you can say you can create a user, maybe for instance, you can create user one and say that this user one has read access to your storage service. You can create, you can create another user two and say that okay, user two has read plus write privilege or role assignment that they can use on this storage service. As for on-premise directory authorization, normally what you need to do is make sure that your users or who are there on premises within that on-premise environment, your users are as well synced to Microsoft Azure cloud, and that is just Azure Active Directory or what, as the current name suggests, Microsoft Entra ID. So just make sure that your users are synced to Microsoft Entra ID. And now Microsoft Entra ID will do that policing for you. So it will prompt them with the username and password. If MFA is required to authenticate them, it will do that job for you. So that is in terms of authentication. After they have been authenticated, Microsoft Entra ID will now look at what's their authorization level. They have does this person have read privilege? Does this person have a read and write privilege? We look at those privileges in a shortcut. So uh, as a as I said, the idea is always, whenever possible, just implement identity-based authorization and don't go for key-based authorization. So implement identity-based authorization because it provides better security. When we talk of security, this is whereby, as for identity-based authorization, users can be challenged to, input the username and password as well as MFA, multi-factor authentication. So there's that added level of security when it comes to using MFA. Unlike when you go for key-based authorization, you just be using the keys. Once you have the keys, then you have access to everything. You're not prompted to input MFA like when you're using identity-based approach. Then there is also better auditability when it comes to identity-based authorization. So auditability is whereby when you look at the logs, who made access to your storage services, you can see that, okay, there's this user, and this user, it will as well show you that this user was accessing your your storage service from a given IP using this device, and all that information will be recorded there. But for the storage account, when you're using the key-based authorization, it will be hard to tell which user was using your storage service. So that's the trade-off. Final thing to do to ensure security of your storage account in Microsoft Azure, you need to enable Microsoft Defender for storage. So the idea behind this is that you will enable this service, Microsoft Defender for storage, and that service will collect your logs from the activities that you do on all those activities that are done on your storage service. So maybe you are reading the files on a given storage service. Maybe a user's created a new file. All those activities, read, write, and delete, will be collected and stored as logs. In Microsoft Defender for storage, what it will do is that it will look for suspicious events, and once it flags these suspicious events, it will trigger an alert uh, on uh, on our side. That is in the security center. It will trigger an alert, then we can investigate that alert to see what has happened. Otherwise, without enabling this service, Microsoft Defender for storage, all those logs all those logs we just be collected as logs, but there will be no way for us to be for us to be alerted that, okay, something is suspicious that was happening in your storage service. With that mentioned, I think I can just go ahead. Uh, I can go into showing you a demo on Microsoft storage account. Microsoft Azure storages. Unless someone has a question. Evans, just one. Evans. Okay. Since it's quiet, let me just share my screen once again. If you have a question, just speak up because I'm not in a position to keep on checking who has his or her hand raised. So just speak up. Evans or Grace, please speak up if you have anything to say. Otherwise, I'll just proceed.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I'm sorry. Maybe my question is not related to this class.
Yeah.
It's just about the assignment, the week 7 assignment.
And what's that? What's the assignment itself?
Managing the VM machines, virtual machines.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a problem with the cloud. Every time I'm just trying to use the cloud shell, I'm told I create one. While I'm trying to create, it is requesting for some dollars.
Do you have a subscription? Do you have an active subscription?
Yes, I opened the account.
Recently or sometime back?
Or recently for this assignment, for the assignment.
If you have a subscription and that subscription is still valid, so you do by valid I mean you do have some credit on that subscription, then everything should work out okay.
Yes.
Okay,
And
maybe yeah.
And also about the in the assignment there are some tasks you are to copy paste some codes.
Okay.
The copy paste feature is disabled on my side.
I'll look into that. Week 7.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Just try to maybe reach out after this. And I'll also try to look into that and enable the copy paste feature. So
Yes.
I hope you guys can see my screen. I have my browser shared. So I've logged into Microsoft Azure portal. Verbal confirmation on that. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you can see it.
Okay. So I told you guys earlier, to use these storage accounts, you need to start by creating a storage account. I mean, to use these storage services, you need to start by creating a storage account. So to do that, you can just come at the top here. You have the search box. You can easily search for any resource from this point. So what you need to type in is storage. So this is how it looks, but I try to also kind of memorize these icons. They will help you to identify some of these services, services. So this is what you're looking for. Alternatively, you can go to you can choose to create a resource. So that will take you to the marketplace area, and you type in storage account, and this is the option you're looking for. So click that storage account. And okay, in this plate, it kind of looks different, but it's still the same thing. This is what you're looking for, right here. This is what you're looking for. So the next thing to do is to click on create button over here. So you click on create. Where is it? Anyway, 22. Okay, let me just type in once again storage. So storage account, then click on create storage account. So right here you need to do some configurations on your storage. I'll take you through some of these configurations.
Your screen is not visible.
My screen is not visible.
Yes, like what you are saying is not happening on your screen.
Is that for everyone? Just you? Anyone else facing the same issue?
No, your screen is okay. You can tap here.
It's visible.
Can you just try to? Okay, let me just try it on the side. So I'll stop sharing, then reshare my screen once again. Evans, lower your hand because you're not speaking. Okay, so I'll just reshare my screen once again. Then I'll go back to starting the entire process. So I'm in the marketplace. I just typed in storage account right here, and the option that I'm looking for is storage account right here. Verbal confirmation if you guys can see my screen, or anyone who can't see my screen to say at this point before I proceed. So are you guys seeing my screen, or you're not seeing my screen? Huh?
We're seeing your
It's
screen.
visible.
Okay. Then also let me know if thank you. Also let me know if there is a lag, so I may move into a different interface. Okay, not really interface, but a different view, and if the view may not be displaying on the side. So just let me know if that happens, if there is that lag. So once in the marketplace, just type in storage account, or you can as well use the search box at the top here. Like I said earlier, this search box over here. So you can use that as well, or alternatively, just go into marketplace and use the search box over here. So you have those two options. So I'll type in storage account because that's what you are supposed to create to use the storage services. Then I'll need to, if you need to read more information about the storage account, you can just click at this point. You can click on this area over here, and to take it to a different blade where you can read more information on storage storage account. But from the brief description that you have on screen, if we just read through this is an Azure service, storage account, of course. So with this service, you can use blobs, tables, queues, files, and data lake generation tool for reliable, economical cloud storage. So you can see the main storage services in Microsoft Azure, which are tables, queues, files, and data lakes. So yeah, I'll now click on create storage account. So it has taken me to a different blade where I can just do some configurations. And here's also a description of what is Microsoft Azure Storage. Azure Storage. So just to read through it, is that Azure Storage is a Microsoft managed service providing cloud storage that is highly available, secure, durable, scalable, and redundant, and all that information. But then there's someone who asked me last time, what is the difference between a managed service and a platform service? So how to it can be kind of cumbersome trying to understand the difference between a managed service and a platform service, because some of these provided service, they kind of look like platform service and it's still a managed service. So the the main trick that I can really say how to look at the difference between a platform service and a managed service is, with managed service, you don't really have much configurations to do. But then with the platform service, there's a lot of configuration on the consumer side to be done. And also you'll find yourself that there's a lot also that is left to you to be done. So things like operating system updates, the system upgrade itself, and so much. But anyway, that's the key difference between the two, managed and platform service. So Azure Storage is one of Microsoft provided managed services. We have some more, but we'll look into them right now. So at this point, I just need to you need to make sure that your subscription is selected. So for me, I just have a single subscription. Then you need to select a resource group. So currently I have the default resource group selected. I don't wish to use that, so I can just create a new one. So I can create maybe just say this storage resource group. RG in most cases will just when it comes to Microsoft Azure, RG will just mean a resource group. Yeah, so that's my storage resource group. Click OK to select as my new storage. Then instance details. So instance is an instance is just you can think of it as a happening of anything. So in this case, we are looking at storage as a storage account. So we need to come up with a name for this storage instance that you're creating. If you create another storage account, you'll need to come up with an instance name for it. So storage account name, anyone with any storage account name. Remember, this has to be unique because normally this is what you may use to access. Remember, there's there's that extension. What is it? It's blob dot windows dot windows. It's actually blob.co the windows.net. So you need to know this. So every storage account that you create will kind of be attached to will be having this suffix at the end. We'll look where you can find that. So any name in mind for our storage instance? Anyone? Anything unique? Okay, let me just say. Let me call it okay, the accountant's warehouse is already taken. Geez. Okay, I've selected it seems like this one is still available, storage house. So these names have to be unique for every account created. Then the region, I'll just leave it at East US. And then in terms of performance, I'll go for the standard because premium will charge me expensive. So you can just read through the description. Standard I recommend for most scenarios. Then premium recommend for scenarios that require low latency. So I'll just go for standard performance. Then redundancy is for availability reasons. So I won't choose geo redundant. You can read through the descriptions here. I'll go for the LRS or locally redundant storage because that's cheap. Then I'll click next to advanced to go to the advanced tab. So under this tab, you can find some of your security configurations. So for instance, you can see the option here to require secure transfer for REST API operations. So this is the options. This one of the options I was telling you about to ensure that your storage service is encrypted. To ensure that you encrypt your data coming from your storage services. So there's that option. Then there is this other option, allow enabling anonymous access on individual containers. And as you can see, it explicitly states enabling anonymous access on individual containers and not file shares or what are they, directories. So containers in the essence of using blob storage. So you can't implement anonymous storage, anonymous access when it comes to things like file storage. But anyway, this is not recommended because people will have access to your to whatever to whatever you allow to be accessed will be accessed without people being authenticated being authenticated. So that is not a good measure. Then we leave the enable storage account keys as we'll leave it checked for now because we'll need to make use of it at least for this demo, but it's not really recommended. Then there's this other security option that you can check. Default to Microsoft Enter authorization in the Azure portal. So this whereby you won't be using the key-based authorization options, but you'll be using identity-based authorization options. So you have to, it will be, ideally Microsoft Enter ID will be in charge of doing the authentication and looking at the authorization levels of whatever users are trying to make access to your storage storage services. Then you can see you can get to set your minimum TLS version over here. That is when you're doing the deployment at first. You're setting up a new account. So the recommended version is always 1.2. And then you can also set okay, this is not really about the scope. We'll be looking at the scope later. But this one, you can just leave it at default. This option right here, you can leave it as default. And it's actually in preview, so no need to worry about it. Preview just means that it has not really been it's not really being implemented like you can set it up and expect you can set it up and expect this service, this feature functionality to be there tomorrow. It may be taken off, it may be removed because it's still being tested. So that's the idea behind previews. Ideally, it's just being tested. Then for this other options, you can just leave it as they are. Maybe just talk of the access tiers over here when it comes to blob storage. So still under advanced, there's this option here. So as for the access tiers, we have normally we have I think five tiers, but when you're setting up your storage account, you only have two options to choose from. So that those options are hot, either hot tier and the cool tier. So hot tier is whereby your storage service will be used for, you'll be making frequent access to this storage service. So frequent access such that maybe you'll be uploading files to it frequently, you'll be downloading files from it frequently. But then the cool and that could be that frequency could be, say, on a day-to-day usage scenarios. Then with the cool tier, that means there'll be infrequent access to the storage service. So maybe you're just accessing it today. The next time you need to make access to the storage service, maybe after a few days or so. So that's the idea behind a cool tier. You can read more on that. Then we also have cold tier, and I think the other one is archival tier. We'll be looking those are the tiers you can select. You can choose either of those when now you are uploading your files. I'll show you that. Oh, by the way, it's 11:04, and if you feel like dropping off the call, please go ahead. I won't keep you here. It's just a demonstration. So if you feel like dropping off, just feel free. So I'll click on next networking. to advance to the next tab right here, I can as well click on this tab at the top section right there. So next, networking, and I've left it at hot tier. I'm not selecting the cool tier because we need to make access to it. So I'll let it at that. So under networking, network connectivity, I'll enable public access from all networks. So this ideally means I can access this storage here from, this storage service, my storage services from at least this storage account from any public network. And if I was to go for the enable public access from selected virtual networks, I'll need to select one of my virtual networks from within Microsoft platform. Microsoft Azure portal, Microsoft Azure environment. So at the moment, I don't have any network environment, virtual network setup. So I'll just allow it allow public access from every other available network outside there. But the difference between this public access and this second option is that they enable public access from selected virtual networks and IP addresses. It will give you that that customization option to choose that, okay, as much as you're enabling public access, you're not allowing everyone to have access to your storage service, but just the selected few IP addresses and maybe IP ranges. Then you can as well disable public access and use private access. This may come in handy when you don't want your storage services to be viewable from the to the public. So by selecting this option, disable public access and use private access, your storage services will only be accessible through private networks, and that could be on premises, or maybe if you have set up your virtual network in the Microsoft Azure cloud, then you can access your storage your storage service from those two environments, and not the public. There will be no public access to it. So I'll leave it at enable public access from all networks. So in terms of network routing, we'll be using Microsoft network routing and not the internet. Then data protection. This comes in handy when the first section comes in handy when this recovery area, when maybe, okay, let's just go through the options here. So enable point in time restore for containers. There's a description here. So with this option, use point in time restore to restore one or more containers to an earlier state. If point in time restore is enabled, then versioning, change feed, and blobs of delete must also be enabling. So these other options here must also be enabled. But anyway, we're not interested with that, because we won't be doing any sort of restoration to our data at this point. So what we'll leave checked is this. What you can actually leave checked are these three options. Enable soft delete for blobs. So soft delete is whereby it kind of enables a recycle bin for your storage account. So as you might have seen this with when you're using a laptop, you can delete something, then that whatever you have deleted goes into your recycle bin. So you have not really lost it. You've just removed that visibility of whatever file that you deleted. So you won't really see it, but it's there in your recycle bin. Then from your recycle bin, after a while, that you can set up your recycle bin such that after maybe 30 days, whatever is there in your recycle bin will now be deleted permanently. So that's the idea behind soft delete. You just you delete something, but not really permanently delete it. You kind of delete it temporarily, such that if you deleted it by mistake, you can go and you can recover it from the recycle bin. So that's the idea behind enable soft delete. Then Enable soft delete for containers. It's still the same thing, but on a container level. Then enable soft delete for file shares. So this will now impact your file service storage. I don't see anything else to talk of at this point. Then next, encryption. So in terms of encryption, you can see that when we're talking about encryption at rest, we can choose not really, yeah, encryption at rest. We have service level encryption or storage service encryption. So with that service level or storage service encryption, you can choose to either let Microsoft manage those encryption keys for you, or you can choose to, if you have your own if you have your own support, you can choose to do the key management by yourself. So you'll need to select the customer managed keys and just set up those all those options that come with that option checked. So I'll just let it to be Microsoft managed keys. Then yeah, this basically more or less thing, but on a different level. So encryption type, we'll just do it for everything on that service level. Then with this second option, enable support for custom managed keys, you can choose blobs and files only. So these are now at the data level, or you can choose at all service types. So ideally, at what level do you want to encrypt to do this encryption? So I'll just let it to be at all services, so blob files, tables, and everything. Then here's the option to enable infrastructure encryption. But yeah, you can see that there's this prompt. This option cannot be changed after this storage account is created. So I won't select that, but this is something you can, this is another level of encryption that you can enable. I mean, you can enable. So it comes in handy. So for instance, when maybe your service level encryption keys have been compromised, then you can as well count on the infrastructure level encryption to do the to protect your data, because this infrastructure level encryption, the keys will be managed by Microsoft. So you can kind of count on Microsoft to ensure that those keys are safe, and in the long run, that means your data will also be safe. So the next thing is just tags. If you want to tag your storage account, but I won't do that, so I'll just review and create. So this will kind of go through your configurations and validate everything. Then from there, we can now go on to create the storage account. So validation is complete. Now I can click on create. It will take a minute or two to create the account. So let me just give it some few minutes or seconds here to complete. In case of any question, give me a moment. I'm coming. Okay, so the deployment is still in progress. Let's click on OK here. My deployment is seems to be complete. Yeah. So now I can just click on go to resource over here. If not so, you can go the long process. Go back to the search box at the top. Type in storage account. This is the option that you're looking for right here. Then click on that, and it will take you to where to the storage accounts that are available. So you only have one, which is this storage instance. So I'll click on that storage house, and yeah, we are there. So I'll just click on this this arrow over here to minimize everything, to kind of push this column or that pen to the left. I don't wish to see it. I hope you guys by there following through. Am I too fast?
No, you're okay.
Okay. So this is our storage account. The name is storage house, as we named the instance storage house. Then the overview section right here, where we are at the moment, will just give you this whole thing, this whole section. This like the overview. So you can scroll up and down for more information. You can look at the resource group, the location, and all that. Let me just look for something here. Let's see if it's available. So at this point, you can see this option. You can choose to upload, you can choose to open in Explorer, you can delete the storage itself, the storage account itself, you can open in mobile and all those options. But one thing I want you to look at, one thing I want to say is to capture your attention is this one, open in Explorer. So there's what we call Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer. That is a tool that you can really use to kind of ease your engagement with the storage services. So I'll just show you why that tool can come in handy. So that's the overview section, and we can go down to access control, or what is always indicated as IAM. IAM is just identity and access management. So for every resource that you create, for every resource, if I'm not wrong, you will always see that it has that IAM section. So that IAM section, like in our case, this is it, IAM. So I've clicked on it. That's why you have all this information right here. So whenever you see that, just know that that is the one place that you can set what you call what is it called? That you can set your I'm looking for this cursor. That is the one place that you can set your role-based access control access control roles. So we have two types of um roles, I think. So we have what we call Microsoft. Currently, it's not called Azure AD. So that was the previous name. So currently, it's called Microsoft Enter ID. So we have Microsoft Enter ID roles, and we have role-based access control role-based access control roles. So to differentiate the two is how to go about it is for Microsoft Enter ID roles. Those are things like those are roles like administrator role, global administrator role. There is so much you can just okay, I don't have a use at this point, but you'll notice it when you start interacting with the platform. So we have things like global administrator role, help desk role. Those roles are what we call Microsoft Enter ID roles. Then we have role-based access control roles, and to get those, you have to come to this access control area right here. And when you come down to this download role assignment, not really download, but you can come to this tab. So this your start of area, access control. You'll start there, and from there, the next thing that you want to go to do in terms of when you want to assign the roles, you come to this tab over here, role assignment. Then you can click on role assignment. Then this will before you get to role assignment, I think you can just see the roles over here. So these are the roles that you can really that you can actually assign to. You can actually assign or not assign to whatever service um, to whatever identities that you're trying to manage access to this storage service. So we have the owner role, we have contributor role, we have reader. There's so much more, and these are what we call built-in roles. So for every resource, there will be that variation of the RBAC roles or role-based access control roles, and you can actually create your own role. So you can click on that add right here. You can click on add, then just create your own type of role. But in most cases, people just, I think in most cases, this built-in roles will be sufficient. So those are the built-in roles, and you can use these roles to kind of limit access to your storage account. So for instance, maybe you want to just have a given user within that your cloud environment. You say that this user should only have read access to your storage, and they should not be able to upload things. So you can come and under role assignment, you'll click on add, then add role assignment, and you have to find your user. I don't think I have any users at the moment. So you'll need to see what roles or what roles to assign to people. And you can also set up policy to maybe deny all roles from everyone there unless someone is assigned a role. The next thing that we need, I'll talk about is right here. So data storage. I'm at this point here. So data storage, and as for the storage options that we have in Microsoft Azure, like I said earlier, we have containers, we have file shares, and file shares are now the files themselves, file storage. Then we have queues, then we have tables. So those are the storage services that we have. So if you click on container, currently we only have the logs, the log container. We can create new containers from here. So I can just click on create. You click on container, then you can give your container name. So something like container A. So I'll give it, okay, let me just name it fully container 1. So there are some there is a criteria on how to name this container. So if I was to maybe use a capital letter, it will fail. So this name, you can see the prompt here. This name may only contain lowercase letters, numbers, and hyphens, and must begin with a letter and all that. Each hyphen must be preceded, not followed by a non-hyphen character and all that. So you can only use lowercase letters. Then you can choose your anonymous access level for that container if you had enabled that public access to your storage services. So you can see the prompt. We're getting this prompt right here. This access level is set to private because anonymous access is disabled on this storage account. So that time when we are setting up this storage account, if we had chosen to enable, that anonymous access, then we could choose, we could as well have the option to enable either private access to this private access to this container, or maybe just a blob access or a container access. So a blob access will only allow access and anonymous access to the data that now you're storing, those files that you're storing. Then a container access will now give access to both the container at that container level and the files themselves. But we disabled that and only went for private options, so that we can't really set public access at this point. So I can now click on create, and this won't take long. So you can see that it created the first container, and you can go on adding more containers. So if you can remember that hierarchy that we talked about, let me just bring up the slide once again. So I'll stop sharing, then share my entire screen. Just a verbal confirmation. Someone confirm if you can see my screen. I'm having my PowerPoint slide presenting.
Yes.
Okay. So there's this these are the components that we talked about when it comes to blob service storage. So you'll create the storage account, which you just did. That's the first step. Right here we have the storage account. So in our case, storage account is what is it called? Storage. I think it's storage house. Then once you create the storage account, the next thing to do is create the containers. And containers just like the folders where now you'll be storing your files inside. So for instance, we just created a container one, and you saw we have a default container there for logs. Then I think the next thing is now time to just attach some files, some actual files into those containers. So for that, you can just go into this container. I'll click on it, single click. Then you can see that we can as well set some access control at this point, but I'm not interested in that. I'll just what I'll do is I'll try to upload a file. So I'll click on upload, and you can see I have the option to drag and drop files here or browse for files. So let me just go with the option for to browse for files, and I'll show you something about it. So I'll pick this AWS. Okay, let me go to Azure. Actually, that one. So let me pick on this file, AWS AWS training. So I can click on the open. Let me see if I can select two files. So I've selected two files. I'll select AWS training and download file. Then click on open. So those are two files, and you can see here two files selected, AWS dot. Then I can choose to select this option, overwrite if files already exist. So ideally, if you get the point, it's self-explanatory. So if there's a previous file that should uploaded with the same properties as the file that I'm trying to upload right now, it will overwrite it. But I'm not interested. I will select it because I don't have anything previously. Then under advanced option, this is where now you can select things like the tier. So the blob type, you'll just leave it as a blob as it is. Then you can leave this option checked, and access here. This is the part I wanted to talk about. So you can see that at the moment is that the selected here is hot in FAD, and this is the other option that you have. Basically, this you can just think of these two as hot. Then we have the cool tier, which saw earlier. Then we have the cold and archive tier. So cold tier is so you'll start with the hot. Hot tier is whereby you'll be making really frequent access to this storage service. Then the cool tier you start is whereby you'll be making infrequent. It may not be really frequent, or it may not be really infrequent, but it's there in between. So you can access the storage service from time to time, but it doesn't take long before you access it. Then the cold tier is whereby you may take a while before you access this storage service. Maybe it may take a time period of 30 days before you go back to access something from this storage storage service. Then archive tier is whereby you now like you want to use this storage as as an archive storage. So whatever you store in that storage, you'll come back and access it maybe after 6 months down the line. So that's the difference. You can just try to find more information on all these storage tiers and the advantages and disadvantages. Of course, they have the advantages and disadvantages, and those advantages and disadvantages maybe ultimately will be based on the pricing. Because the hot tier, for instance, the hot tier will charge you low charges. There will be low charges associated with the hot tier when it comes to accessing your data, but there will be high charges where that the consumer will be charged high or expensive when it comes to storing your data in that hot tier. So that's the trade-off. There's that access and there's that storage that you need to consider. Then the cool tier is kind of in between. You're being charged not expensive for both accessing the data and storing it there. Then the cold tier, you're receiving low charges for storing the data there. But whenever you think of accessing that data, you'll be charged kind of more for in comparison to the cool tier and the whole tier. So you'll be charged more for to retrieve that data. Then the archive tier, you'll receive even less charges compared to all the rest of the tiers. You'll receive less charges when it comes to storing your data there, because it's meant that the archive tier is meant for very lengthy storages, storage periods. So just try to do your research on that. So this is the point where you can choose if you want to store something for long, or you can leave it still on that hot tier. Then upload to folder. Maybe you may be having a number of folders that you wish to you wish to what is this to upload it into. Yeah, so these are the options that you can just select. And encryption scope, yeah, you can see there we have the encryption scope over here. So you can use the existing default container scope or choose an existing scope. We don't have any sort of encryption scope at the moment. You will need to create that one, but just get the idea that encryption scopes are used with blob storages, and they are used whereby you have maybe you are you're a cloud managed service provider and you're storing your customers' data, different customer data within that same storage account. So you may want to kind of isolate these containers or the blobs themselves that you are storing for different customers. You may want to isolate them through this feature, which we call story. What is this? Encryption scope. So I already selected 2 files, and I can click on upload. And that's what you see on screen right now. So I have the files here. I can kind of just do a preview of them. I don't know if it will allow me to do that. Okay. Let me see if I can. Okay, let me copy this. Let me copy this. Copy. So this is what I just did. Let me try to minimize this. Okay, status. Okay, so I want to preview this file that I downloaded, AWS training. I mean that I uploaded AWS training. I can click on that file. Then I'll need to select this copy. I mean this URL right here. There's this under properties. There's this URL field over here. So I'll just click on that, and I hope it will work. So before we just go deep, before I click on the link itself, I click enter to go to the link itself. You can see that what I was telling you previously, how you make access to the blob storage is through this this kind of link. So you'll be having https:// of course that's a double // then the storage account name, then you append this .blob.co.windows.net to it, then / the container name / then the blob, or basically just the file that you're trying to access. So it's the same thing that you see here. So we have https, that block over there, https / then we have the storage name follows over here, which is storage house for us. Then after the storage name, we have this suffix, suffix blob.co.windows.net. Then we have the container name, which in our case, our container name is container -1. Then we have the file itself, or in the more appropriate term, we have the blob name itself that you're trying to access, which is aws-train.png. So I'll just try to click on enter and see if I can have a preview of this. I'm getting an error code public access not permitted. So this actually because of the public access. Let me try to edit that and see if we can have access to it. So I'll go back to my storage account, which is this storage house. Then let's go down to configuration under this section here, settings. Then configuration. Then let's look. What you're looking for is public access. So secure transfer, allow blob anonymous access, disable, allow storage account keys. Where is it exactly? Okay, let me enable it. I think this is what I'm looking for. Allow blob anonymous access. So I'll just enable it. Then some blobs may become anonymously readable. Okay, so I'll just click on save. Let's see if it will work. Updating storage. So successfully updated storage account. And let me go back. Enable. Yeah, I think that should do. So let me just go back to the containers and see if this will work. So this is the file itself, or the blob itself. Then I'll copy it. Then I'll close that, try to open a new one, and let's see if it will work. Okay. Resource not found. Code the specified resource does not require. Okay, I did not allow. I think I'll need to tweak it a little bit. So the file itself, and let me see. Content type, content please delete. Just not sure 8. So okay. What I'll do is I'll just try to upload a new file and see if I can enable. I've deleted that. Then I'll delete this one as well. I'll try to upload a new file. So upload and browse files. Let me just upload this one. Oh, sorry, Jesus. I forgot to change something. Forgot to change something. Oh, but what I was to show you is I can't upload an entire folder when I'm using this approach. So if say I was to upload this VMs folder, if I say open, I can't upload it entirely. So I can't upload an entire folder. That's one of the limitations with using the portal to interact with these storage services, and that's why it's recommended to use the Azure Storage Explorer. I'll show you that. So this is what I was to open. So open that, then I'll go down to advanced. Then let's see, upload folder, use existing. There's something that I needed to tweak here. Something here. No, oh, change access. Yeah, I think this is it. So change access level. So I'll just change to let me just say blob. So blobs within the container can be read by anonymous requests, but container data is not available. Anonymous clients cannot enumerate the blobs within the container. So with this option, I will just be able to see the blobs, but I cannot really list what's there within the container. Then if I want to enable people to list or enumerate what's within the container, like I was talking about, I'll need to select the container option, but I won't pick that. Okay, let me just select the container. Say, okay, let me change that. I think I could have done this instead of going through the hassle of uploading a new file once again. So I'll just upload a file quickly. So then I click on upload. I think we have it. So I'll just refresh. Then I'll click on that file to copy the link. So this URL, this is what I'm looking for. I'll copy. Let's see if it'll work this time. So I'll paste it there. Okay. So what it did actually is that I cannot preview it in the browser. I think I need to do some setting on that. But what it did is when you click that, so long you have the link, what you can do is that file will be downloadable on your side. So you can just download the file and view it offline. And that's what happened here. You can see that the file got automatically downloaded because that's how my browser kind of works. Otherwise, I could as well, if I don't allow automatic downloads, I could have as well seen the option to download the file. But I hope you get the idea. So I'll just close out of that, and you can go back to your configurations and disable this anonymous access because it's not really recommended. So I'll just disable it right here. Then click on save. So that is to do with containers, and it's more or less how you can work with the files. So for files, you'll go into file shares, and maybe you'll start by creating a new file share. Give it a name there, and after you create a new file share, you create it's proper to create a new folder. Then within that folder, that's where you can store your files. Then queues, that's quite more advanced, but you can check it out because everything is right here. It just needs you to know how to tweak it. So the next thing I want to show you is now the Azure Storage account itself. So for that, you'll need to use that Azure Storage account. Storage Explorer. You need to type in. You need to download it, Azure Storage Explorer. You can type in Azure Storage download. Storage Explorer download. Then you go to this first link from Microsoft. Then this is the option that you have. Download Azure Storage Explorer today. So just hit on the download option over here, and there are these options. So you can choose from if you want to download it for what is this, Windows, Mac OS, or depending on your operating system. So mine is Windows. That's what I downloaded, and just to bring it up, Azure Storage. This is it. Azure Storage. Is it the one really? Let me just look for it in there. This is it, Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer. So this is how it looks like. So I'll give it a minute or two to load. So with that, have I connected already? So you can see that my connection is up already. I have my, I'll close this tab first. So this here is my subscription. I'm kind of logged in with my with the Microsoft Enter ID, and that's why you see my subscription here. Let me just see if I can list if I can list my storage accounts. So storage accounts. These are the storage accounts already. I don't think I can. I'm in a position to list them. So let me just connect to it. I tried connecting to it using my my Microsoft Enter ID previously, but it refused. So let me just go with what worked. So to connect, just hit this button over here. There's this icon, right there on the in the corner. That button that looks like a plug. So just hit that. And we'll try this option, storage account or service. We'll try to connect with that option. Sorry. So I'll hit it once again, storage account or service. Then under storage account or service, I have the option to connect using a key or a SAS token. Then we also have the option to connect using a shared access or URL or a SAS URL. Then we can use account name and key. So let me just start with the account name and key. Click on next. So for the account name and key, you'll need to get your account name. Sorry, the account name and the key. As for the display name at the top here, you can give it any name that you're going to be using, stop using that. So display name, I'll just say something like test connection. Test connection 1. Then account name, I'll go back to Microsoft portal, the Microsoft Azure portal. Then to get your account name, we need to use the account name and the key. So for that, I'll go to, let me go to access keys right here. What am I supposed to, just give me a moment first. So I need the account name and the account key. Okay. So account name, that is your storage name basically. And you can see it indicated here, storage account name. So I'll just copy it to clipboard, copied. Then I'll go back to Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer. So I'll paste my account name there. Then account key, go back to the portal and copy my account key. So these are the keys themselves, this section. You can see normally it comes with 2 keys. That's the first key and this is the second key. So this is a point you can rotate or regenerate your keys. So to do that, you just need to click on the rotate key option over here. You'll see the same functionalities, same features in AWS as well, if you're working with some of the AWS keys. But anyway, this way you can do all that. So for the first key, I'll try to use the first key. I'll click on show. You can to just toggle in between the options. So I'll click on show, then I'll click copy to clipboard. So it's copied. Go back to the Storage Explorer. Then I'll just type. I'll paste the key because it's hard to type it. Then I'll leave this option checked to storage domain as Azure. Then I'll click on next. Then it will give you that summary. Then let me try to connect and see if it will happen. So successfully added new connection. Let's see if it's really there. But then you need to you need to select that connection that you made. So our connection was this test connection. So this is the connection that I made because that's what will display on this storage explorer. So I'll click on that. Then by clicking on it, I can either expand or minimize the contents that are within it. So the containers are basically the storage services, which is blob, blob service, file service storage, queue service storage, or tables. So for instance, we had created some few I mean a container in the blob service. I can just click on the blob containers and expand it. Let me see if yeah, you can see the logs are still there, the log container, and you can see the container that we created initially. As for the file share, let's try that. So for the file share, we don't have anything. So we'll start by creating a new file share. I'll just right click on that point, then create file share. So I can say I can just say this my share one file, my share one. Let's see if that will work. So that's my first file share. You can name it anything. Then from that file share, you can choose to open a new tab. So if I click on open a new tab, it will just open another tab over here, but it's more or less the same thing. Let me close all this. So within that share one file share, then the next thing I can do is I can choose to create a new folder. This option right here. So I can click on that new folder, then I'll give it a name. So I'll call it my first folder. Where is that? My first folder. Then I'll click on OK. So you can see it appears like just an ordinary folder. Then to upload something now, I can go into this folder. I just double clicked. I'm waiting for it to open. So I'm within that folder. As you can see, this is the directory, or like kind of like the path to it, to whatever content will be within this folder. So if you just check here, we have I'm within the share, the share one file share, and I'm within that share one file share. I'm within the my first folder. That's like kind of like the directory. So if I just bring up the slide, what you're talking about when it comes to file shares, for service in Azure, this is it. So we have our storage. We already set up the storage account. That was the first step. Then we created our file share. And then the next thing was to create a directory, or now the folder. Then let's try to now finally upload something into that directory. So we can to upload something, just click on upload, and you also have this drop down arrow whereby you can choose to either upload a folder or a file, which is the functionality that it's missing when it comes to working with the Microsoft Azure portal itself. So give me a moment to power on this machine. Okay, my machine was about to power off because of the power. Anyway, you can see that we have the option to either upload a folder. Sorry, we have the option to either upload a folder or you can upload a file. So depending on what you want to do. So in this case, I want to choose upload a folder because yeah, that's possible, and it may take some time. Or alternatively, what I can do is I can just create a dummy folder over here. Let me just create a dummy folder. Then inside it, I can create a new note. What is notepad? Test file. So I'll upload the folder along with the test file inside it. So I'll just select upload folder into that directory. No folder selected because we haven't selected anything, and this is the destination directory where it will be uploaded in the cloud. So I'll just click on this option, the three ellipses, the ellipses option over here. This is the point to click. So sorry, upload folder. I'll go back there, click those ellipses. Then Under documents, that's where I have my dummy folder. I'll click on this dummy folder. This is what I'm looking for, because that's the dummy folder that I just created. So I'll select it, and now I can select the entire folder and upload it. So give it some time. And yeah, you can see that we have the dummy folder right there. So if I double click on that dummy folder, inside it, I have this test file, testfile.txt. So this is the path. It's just like working with their normal files in a Windows environment. So if I go back online to the bottom, then I go to files, file share right here, and data storage. So I'll click on that file shares, and you can see what we uploaded. Just give it some moments. So you can see this the file share. I mean the share. I mean the file share that we created earlier. So I'll go into that file share, and I'll need to connect to it. And so that is in cloud to see what's available available there. So that's the drive later. That authentication. So for this one, I'll have to show you afterwards, because I haven't set it up already, but you can try it. You'll just need to click on connect and choose the platform that you are connecting to. If it's Linux or Windows, then this is the drive later that it will once you connect to it, or maybe you can try. Let me just choose drive later like J. Then authentication method, I'll leave it to storage account key for now. Then connect to Azure using the storage account key. Okay, for this, you'll need to run the script in, I think in PowerShell. So I'll just click on this copy, and then I can hide the script once again. So let's go. I'm not sure if it will work directly, but I think there's some setup to be done. Let me just try to start up PowerShell and see if it will work. So I'll just paste everything there. Warning, you're about to paste text that contain multiple lines, paste anyway. And then let me see. Test attempting TCP connection, waiting for a response, credential added successfully. Let's see if that's it. So this is it. What we got, this is the information we got out of it, sorry. So CMD key credentials added successfully, and this is the storage itself. Let me just maximize this one, this part. So this is the storage itself. You can see that the storage has that drive letter J, and used GB is 0, free GB is about that's like 5 gig. Then for system let's just go and see if it's there. So I'll open my file. Let's go to this PC, and right here it is. This is the file that we connected to. So this is it. To use it, it's still available on the network. I'll need to click show more options. Then I can say, okay, there's no option to map it. Let me just see if it will open at this point. Yeah. So I just double clicked on it. From this point, I just double clicked on it, and you can see that we have that directory, my first folder, and the file itself that we had uploaded. So if I can just use it, and this is the extension we were talking about that you can use. You can set up a storage, a file share. I mean, a file storage in cloud, and extend it to on-premise environments, and start using that file share like any drive that was there within your local storage. So I can just update this file, like I'll just type in things inside here, and you'll see this will get updated. So I can save it. Let me just close out. Sorry, it is saved really. Okay, I updated this file. So this day, now let's save it. I'll just save it and close out of it. So let me try to open it once again and see if it saved anything. So it did save the file. So let me go back to the storage explorer, and see if in case I download this file, it will be updated because it's there in cloud in cloud. I'll try to refresh it first. So I'll click on this to refresh. So you can see, yeah, it did update it because you can see even the size of the file itself, it's updated to about 31 bytes. So let me try to double click and see if I can have a preview of the file. So I can't preview it. I'll just have to download it. So I'll click on download and I'll just download it at this directory. Select folder, and it should be done. Oh, by the way, behind the scenes, this tool uses a command line tool. Transfer that text to that. The items transferred, use SAS discovery completed. So it seems like it failed. I don't know why. But anyway, I can download it as well from the portal, I think. But what I wanted to let you know is that this tool, Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer, uses there's a CLI tool that it uses, which is called AZ copy. So if you're a fan of the CLI, that's the tool. I mean, the tool that you can integrate with the system to work in that command line mode. But I think you get the idea how these things work. So I'll just close that, and can stop that. I can close this as well, and I'll go back to showing you guys something else. So I'll go back to the storage account. So if so far we've tried to use the access keys, and as I mentioned earlier, that's not recommended. So to disable that, you need to go to configuration. Where is that? Right here, configuration. So click on that configuration, give it time to load. So this is a place where you can just set your security settings afterwards. This whole place. So secure transfer is enabled. Allow blob anonymous access is disabled. That's okay. Allow storage account keys. Yeah, okay, that's enabled. Then allow recommended upper limit. I don't know what that means for now. So you can choose to. I think this one got updated. So if you select this option, default to Microsoft Enter authorization in the Azure portal. This ideally means you will be taking away that capability of people authenticated to your storage services using the storage keys. So what you just need to do is to enable, and once you enable this, then that means if even if you previously got the keys to have access to this storage service, storage account, then because of this option, those keys will be rendered invalid. You won't be able to use them. So I just disabled the use of keys, and let's refresh this. So I'll go back to this to the storage explorer over here. Then I'll disconnect first from this test connection. So I'll click detach to disconnect. Then I'll as well disconnect here. I'll also click detach to disconnect from this. They're just cluttering up all this. I know what's here. So I'll try to connect using the keys once again, and you see that it will fail. I don't even think we have the keys. So test connection 202. I just name it that. Go back to the portal and see if we have the keys there. Sorry. So what's that? So I'll go back to access keys. Let's see if we have the keys. So you have the keys here. So I'll just copy the storage name and paste it here. Did I select? Wait. Let me use the same method we used, account name and key. So just display name will be my storage. Paste in the, sorry, what did I copy? I need to copy the account name. I didn't copy that. So copied. I can go back. But if you key in something or input anything in this storage, I mean Azure Storage Explorer interface, if you key in anything that is not permitted or allowed, something invalid, you'll get this error, the red boundary just around that input box. So right now it's okay. Then I'll input the key to see if it will work. So I'll click on show, copy this, copied, then I'll paste it here. So ideally it should fail because we've disabled that capability of connecting to it. Let me see if it, why is it still working? Okay, I'm not sure why it's still working, but it should fail. Okay, maybe I'll have to just look at that later on, but ideally it should fail. Then about Microsoft enabling that collection of logs, you can do it from this point. This is things change on Microsoft Azure, so this is the point where you should you can enable the log collection. Yeah. And as you can see, it's under security plus monitoring. So just go out to Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and there are some settings to do over. I mean, in this blade. So you can see it talks about activity monitoring, so log analysis based threat detection. So there are some things you can you can just do the setup and see how things work. Anyway, I think we can stop there unless you guys have a question. I took much of your time today.